Dammi tanto rifugi, sorrendendo scetoi, non ne vuoi dir, non ne vuoi dir.
Welcome to Cinema U. I'm Casey Tony.
And I'm Rebecca Edie. Artists have a huge part in influencing our culture. From the small ads we watch daily to the feature films we watch in theaters, art is everywhere.
These artists have to get their start somewhere, and well, somewhere is right here in Northwest Ohio. Students from around our region are growing into brilliant filmmakers that will be influencing our world very soon.
Today, Cinema U wants to introduce you to some of these rising stars.
The first artist we want to introduce you to is Zach Esposito. He's a digital arts student in the BGSU School of Art.
Zach's film, Once Hat, is a project he turned in for character animation class.
Let's take a look.
What a fun little film. Why do you think Esposito didn't give his character hands?
Well, I've got the facts right here.
I bet you do.
Actually, Zach's professor challenged him to create a story with a two-legged character with no hands. He spent 30 hours working on this project, but he got an A.
Zach plans to work as an animator, working on video games or feature films after graduation.
Our next film is about an old house that has a story to tell.
Dee Jones, a film instructor at BGSU, crafted a documentary about a home that gave 4 generations of one family a roof over their heads.
Check out this fascinating story. Here's 631.
Naomi and Cecil Dow, they didn't move on to Ridge until 1955-56, which would have been 3 or 4 years before I came along. The house needed a lot of work, and my father virtually rebuilt the house. He's the one that built the brick wall around it, but didn't have a garage, so he built the garage. And he added the patio to it. My father for many years was the business agent for Youngstown. It was a political position. She did not work at all because he made a pretty good living. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, we were considered pretty well-to-do. My mother had a brand new Cadillac and a mink coat, and I was only child. And we had a pretty nice house. And they always had dinner parties. My father had finished our basement, so we had a full bar. I can remember being little and my parents entertaining all their friends down the bar, and they would let me stay up, and I'd be like the little hostess. My mother and father divorced in '71, so it was just me and her, and he moved out and got remarried. That was kind of a low point in our lives because then my mother had to go to work, and she started doing domestic work. Again, something that she had did years ago back in the 40s. We were on welfare. We stayed at the house I graduated from high school, got married, had Derek, not necessarily in that order. Late 70s, early 80s, you know, you could rent an apartment for $200 a month. I mean, we had a couple places where we stayed. My mother was down on Ridge in that big house by herself. I don't even really remember how it happened. I just remember one day my mother calling me and telling me, well, I put the house in your name and I'm starting to look for an apartment. I was pregnant with my second child. I was a homeowner at like 21.
We grew up hearing the stories, you know, so, I mean, immediately it was bigger than us. It was the same family, same house, same furniture.
For me, it was always adult stuff going on.
It was so nice to have a house. So me and Dennis, we kind of became the party animals of the neighborhood. Any excuse for a party. We would have a Halloween party, 4th of July, Memorial Day, New Year's Eve, Christmas, you name it, we would have it. I look back now and I'm like, boy, as poor as we were, I don't know how we had money to throw these parties and have food for days.
And we got to party too, you know. It would start upstairs and then it would go down to the basement. Party ain't a party if it don't end up in the basement.
When you go down there, you seem like a dance club.
I did like our basement because nobody else had a basement like ours out of all my friends.
It was unique. I mean, who else had this big brick wall in front of their house?
The brick wall, it sticks out real big.
I didn't really do too good trying to climb that wall, but I did climb the wall. The carpet, it was kind of ugly, but it was home, you know, so you didn't really think about that.
I mean, it was some things that I used to have to do that I didn't like wintertime, shoveling that long driveway, and I used to blow it. Pipes in the kitchen wasn't all up to par, so every time I washed the dishes, we had to empty the bucket. You know, I used to blow it.
We were poor, but they found a way. I mean, we didn't have the best clothes, we had clothes. We didn't have the best cars, we had cars. And, you know, we didn't have the best looking home, but we had a house.
In 1997, me and Nikki, we went to the grocery store. I remember coming down Hillman Street, looking down, and you get to see fire trucks and billows of smoke coming from my house. And I just remember the fireman took me down the basement and showed me where they think the fire had started, and they said that it was started by a smoldering cigarette. From what James told me, he was upstairs in the kitchen and his other friends were down in the basement. And so, of course, to this day, we don't really know which friend started the fire or who did what.
Me, my mom, my little sister basically had to, you know what I'm saying? That was our home, so we was in the streets after that. You know, Mom and Nick, they went to live with her friend. But, you know what I mean? I was in the streets at that time. Her friend didn't want me to go stay with him, so I was just basically left out in the streets, you know. I don't know, I never thought that we'd be able to even move back in it.
We moved back in maybe about a year later. My father-in-law, bless his heart, he gave me the money to get the house fixed up.
I kept thinking, like, what if it happened again and we in the house?
Did it about 2000. I wasn't home for this one either. I was at work, and I get a phone call from Marvin Miller, and he said, Joyce, isn't your address 631 Ridge Avenue? And I said, yes. And then he said, I just heard it go over the police radio that they're on their way to your house. Your house is on fire. Oh, Lord, not again, not again. So I guess this time it was from an overload of too much stuff being plugged in the attic. This fire started in the attic, so it was electrical. Fortunately, the fire department didn't knock down any doors this time because Jamie was home. Little James was there, and he was just a baby.
But they were okay. But it was real scary. And even now, when I hear a fire truck, I always think,
I had really been thinking about moving out of my house because there was still like some holes in the wall that needed to be plastered up from the first fire. The roof had started to leak, and every time it would rain, my bedroom would leak. And I had gotten a few estimates. I could never afford a new roof, ever. So we moved. It's kind of depressing to go down there. I pass by it all the time.
I would put it back to the way it was back when Mom was growing up in it.
Bring it back to life. Let my kids grow up in it, and their kids and their grandkids see it.
You know, it's hard. You live in a house all your life.
Do I think something miraculous gonna happen? Truth, I had to say is nah. Hell nah.
But it's a nice little thought, little fantasy.
Because it's my first home.
You know, I look back on that house and I think that it's unfair that the only thing that's keeping you from preserving your history or building your legacy in that home is that you just don't have the money to do it. I don't mean the money to get something. I mean the money to keep what's yours.
This documentary was fascinating. All the old footage and photos of the house throughout the years was priceless to Jones's story.
I agree. That house was beautiful in the beginning of the film, but by the end I was devastated for the family.
Thanks to D. Jones for sharing 631.
Brandon Limer directed the next Cinema U short film.
Brandon created a sci-fi short called One of These Guys is a Robot. It's an interesting short about life in the year 2013. Roll film.
Hello, friend. Would you like a ride? Thank you. Get in. Nice hat. Thank you. You too. Onward, my friend.
Slowly comes the unicorn, riding through the fields. She is a beautiful animal, you'll see.
Oh God, I'm so hungry.
Me too. Too bad all this corn's irradiated from the bombs.
I miss corn.
I always hated when it got stuck in interesting area.
Yeah. I say. Oh, well, what do we do?
I've never ran somebody over before.
I'll take care of it.
You have a gun?
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
So messy.
It's okay.
I'm really hungry though.
We can eat him.
When a child sings its magic, you can feel it in your toes. The unicorn sings like a mushroom, opening through the ground.
It's been a long, hard day.
Both
But
long and hard.
many miles traveled, many journeys had.
Approximately 692.
We chased a mutant to a cornfield, and we ran over a guy.
And I think,
We also ate him, yes.
yes,
And many other adventures.
it's nothing to be ashamed of.
I know. And now I'm very tired,
Me too.
but we have no tent.
Or entertainment.
Let's just sleep on the car. Many moons have passed since that accident, since the bombs dropped.
Do you want to see my scar?
I'd rather not, actually.
It's right here.
I'd rather not.
Let's go to bed.
Okay.
Let's go to car. This isn't really a bed. I want to fall asleep looking into your eyes.
Let's hope we don't suffer a nuclear attack anytime soon.
Sci-fi films are the result of imagination mixed with plausible scientific reality. Who knows, maybe we'll witness a nuclear attack that creates mutants that run through Ohio cornfields.
Fingers crossed that we don't. Our next film is titled Self and is by BGSU art student Nick Dariano.
This is a story about a guy who wakes up and goes to war with his subconscious.
Let's watch it.
Nick Dariano has a creative mind. I felt like I was watching him fight himself in a video game.
Did you notice that the actor was wearing a hood in the rear view mirror, but nowhere else in the film? Something to think about.
Our next interview short is a 2D animation created by Chris Carter.
His project is called Process. Let's watch.
How do I start this thing? I think. I overthink. And sometimes nothing gets drawn or written down. Sometimes you gotta take a step back to take 2 steps forward. Or is it 3? Maybe 4? I don't know. You just have to taste it for yourself. Who am I to judge anyone else's taste buds? Is it a dance? An exercise? Maybe repetition? I'd say yes. It's all of those. And suddenly the world becomes a canvas. And everything can be painted, sculpted, or drawn. Even in stillness, there's no such thing as suspended animation. Only transformation. Only progress. We become a part of our own creation.
Chris used a process called rotoscope to create his project. He recorded video and then using Photoshop, he colored in each frame of video.
This type of animation is very time consuming. The 1 minute and 30-second video consists of 2,700 individual drawings. Good job, Chris. That's a whole lot of drawings. That's all we have time for this week.
If you'd like to submit your own film to Cinema U, check out our website for details.
Before we go, we'd like to inspire you with the words of director Clint Eastwood.
I don't believe in pessimism. If something doesn't come up the way you want, forge ahead. If you think it's gonna rain, it will.
Forge ahead and make your own art. Help define the culture and reality we all live in.
Today, we leave you with an animation called Night Flight by Wesley Lauka.